It is a year 2020. The war between the Autobots and the Decepticons continues. Hello and good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be going over some more Transformers news. Today is September 12th, so this video is probably going to come out on the 13th of 2021. And I bring you new reveals that have come out. The first of these being a new Dracula Transformer. This is going to be a remold of the Mind Wipe Decepticon Headmaster that appeared in the Titans Return toy line, and it appears to be a non-removable head that Dracula is going to sport in a brand new deco, and he's going to come with a little velvet cape, it looks like. So this is kind of out of the blue. There were rumors and hints that were dropped a while back that Hasbro is going to be releasing this figure. It is based on Dracula. It is called Draculus. It is a Decepticon, and the colors are very nice. A lot of black and white coloring, and the bat is blood red and black. So it's a kind of a cool little figure. Although by this point, this mold is fairly old. They could have gone with a brand new figure, but so they just decided to remold Mind Wipe because that just seemed like the most logical choice. And now I'm wondering what the future potential is for them to make more of these universal themed horror monsters. So the box that this is coming in is based on the 1990 release of the Universal Studios classic monster series. So you had Dracula, the Mummy, the Wolfman, and several others. There was a huge collection of these VHSs, and the box is an homage to that VHS cassette tape box. And if they did make more in this style, there's a very obvious candidate that could be turned into the Wolfman. That we had a recent figure that was remold of the grotesque figure into Fangry. Fangry being one of the junior headmasters. He already has that kind of werewolf appearance. It's just that his mold is also fairly old by this point, and he sports wings, which obviously the Wolfman does not. So they'll probably have to remold some of that if they decide to do that. I'm not sure if this is going to go anywhere, but if this is popular enough, I suppose they could do other classic horror monsters like the creature from the Black Lagoon. But I don't know what would you turn into that creature? What mold exists currently that could be that, or Frankenstein, or the Mummy? So interesting, very interesting figure, and yeah, I think this kind of threw everybody for a loop when it was first revealed back then, because all we had was the name at the beginning of the year, and we couldn't really tell what this was going to shape out to be. But here it is now. We have this Dracula figure. And now we're going to go skip down a little trail here and talk about these repaints of Huffer. There's two new figures that are going to be released, recolored from that Huffer figure. One is Puffer, which I mentioned in a previous video, and the other one is called Road Ranger. So Puffer was an international release. What I mean by that, it wasn't a figure that was released in the United States or in Japan, but I believe that this figure had been released in South America and in some parts of Europe under the name Puffer, and basically he was just a remold of Huffer. So now that we have the Huffer figure in the Kingdom toy line, it makes sense to get as many recolors of that mold as you can for all the different characters that you could. And along with that, we have a character called Road Ranger, and this happens to be a figure that was not originally a Transformer. It wasn't anything like a an international release or anything like that. This happens to be originally a GoBot, similarly to Bugbite being a white redeco of Bumblebee, but Bugbite and Road Ranger, along with a handful of others, were originally the GoBots characters that are now owned by Hasbro. So Hasbro has these trademarks and characters pretty much just lying around, and they haven't really had media that has been substantial. They've just been kind of, dropping homages here and there, and maybe they'll do something in the future with these guys where they have like a full-blown GoBots. Maybe they'll do like a Netflix show or something, but for now, we're just kind of getting samples of the original cast wherever they can be remolded from. Which again, it's nice for GoBots fans. But if you're like a classic Transformers collector, this is kind of like having Sonic the Hedgehog included with your Mario characters. It's like that was the rival the toy company doing its thing, and now they're kind of smushed together, sometimes in the same kind of continuity. But it's all good. Next, all I want to talk about Kingdom release Road Rage. This is a female Autobot figure, and for once, it's not another one of those RC redecos. We get plenty of figures that have that slender feminine body build, and it's almost always a remold of RC, similarly to how Alita 1 is usually just another redeco remold of RC. But this here is a remold of Trax. Road Rage is a character that was created post G1, but is still included within the G1 continuity. So I think she's had prominent roles in the comics, but if you're looking for her in the original cartoon, you will not find her there because she did not appear in the original cartoon, but she is still considered part of that cast. And more fembots is going to round out the team in the long run, and I think it opens up more possibilities for better stories dealing with female characters intermingling with their male counterparts. And I think that might wrap it up here as far as the new reveals, but I did want to give a new update onto the Haslab project for Saber Victory Saber. As of today, the backers have reached a total of 7,543 backers, so just a little over the 7,500 mark, and we need 11,000 backers to reach the goal. I am very confident that this is going to meet that goal. I think that this is going to hit that goal, and we're also going to get that V-Lock cannon, especially when you consider that the last time we did a Haslab project, we had Unicron, and that was a $400, close to $600 figure that was extended for its the backer time that you could chip in. And this one has a window. It's had a window for about 45 days. It's going to conclude on October 10th. And I have no doubt that this is going to be meeting its first goal and its first tier 1 goal and get that V-Lock cannon. So for those folks who are on the fence and wondering, if they should chip into it, there really is no downside to getting a spot on this, because if worst comes to worst and it didn't even meet its goal, you just get your money back. That's it. There is really no downside. If you're thinking about it as, is it going to get funded? Yes, of course it's going to get funded. This is going to shape out to be a very cool item, and the figure has some more photo releases that have come out. We had, kind of generic looking photo opportunities for this mock-up prototype from the original Fans First Friday, but now we have more of those signature Takara Tomy-esque photos that are now floating about, and they do reveal a little bit about how the transformation works in greater detail. So, i one of the things that had my attention was how the head mechanism gimmick was going to work with the little Brainmaster going in, because originally you kind of set them into the chest and you raise this elevator, and then the little Brainmaster becomes the head of the larger robot. So they don't have an elevator anymore to have that kind of gimmick. Instead, what they have is kind of an interesting thing where you have almost like a little bucket inside of the chest cavity that the Brainmaster sits in, and this allows it to swivel on like a little 360 turning table, which is going to allow Star Saber, and by extension Victory Saber, to be able to turn his head. And so now that makes sense about how they engineered this thing. You're not going to get that little elevator gimmick anymore in favor of this more dynamic looking posable thing. And along with the butterfly joints in the shoulders, that's going to allow this figure to do some really interesting poses. So I think the sacrifices are worth the payoff, or it's going to be in the end. And some people have come out and said they weren't really huge fans of all the little hollowness, particularly there's like a lot of these ports on the back, which is going to become the jet mode, and there's some hollowness in the cannons and the arms. I completely agree with the notion that hollowness on a Haslab figure is something that is an undesirable. I've never personally had a huge issue with hollowness myself. I just kind of figure, the company is doing what it needs to do to save its cost, and I understand as a consumer you want the most bang from your buck. We're kind of meeting in the middle here, and I do hope that they cover up those holes in some way. But the ports that are appearing in the back there, those look like those are the same kind of weaponized or siege ports. So those don't bother me because it just extends the playability of the figure. And it also kind of clues us in that, yeah, this was probably going to be a mainline retail release, but we're getting it as a Haslab figure. So them's the breaks, folks. What else can we say about it? We don't know what the colors are going to be yet, but they're probably going to be very toyetic. And what I mean by that is it's probably going to be that very flashy white and red and blue that we've seen from the original toy and the Masterpiece figure. I don't think we're going to get any huge surprises. They might be a little muted to blend in better with more of the mainline retail release figures, such as the ones that we've seen in Kingdom and Siege and Earthrise. So, if anything, the color palette is probably going to be close to that. And one last thing is, I think that the sword gimmick is probably going to be intact, where he's going to have the sword kind of hidden behind his shoulder, and he will be able to get that and extend his arm out, and it's going to be attached to that little shield mechanism. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think that for the most part, the whole toy is going to incorporate as many of the original gimmicks from the original figure as possible within the parameters that you have for an action figure of this size. So I'm very excited. I think that this project is going to do very well. We haven't even gotten the international sales yet, so Asia hasn't chipped in, and they're the largest fans of this character. So what we're seeing now on the Hasbro Pulse Countdown is pretty much just Western dollars that are coming in. But once we get Asia in, I bet you we will be seeing the tier 1 and the tier 2 unlocks, and we might eventually be able to reach for the tier 3 Maybe we'll get that, maybe not. Um, the reason that I feel so confident about this is because I think we are developing a better relationship consumer to producer in terms of the Hasbro Takara uh, company unison with their fans. Recently, it was in the news that uh, if you were familiar with the Hero Quest Haslab from 2020, there was a huge campaign that featured as the final stretch goal a dragon and a quest book that went along with it. I bring that up here because last week Joe Manganiello had come out and did a little video to say, hey, you guys didn't reach that final goal. Everybody really wanted that dragon and that quest book, and we just didn't meet the goal. So uh, Joe called up his friends at Hasbro, and now they're chipping it in. They're chipping in, included with the mythic tier. So if you backed up the largest portion of that campaign, you were going to get all the little goodies, all the add-ons, all the extra figures. And now for those people who back that tier, you're also getting that little dragon figurine and those quest books. So I feel like, yeah, it's important to call out a company when they do something rather boneheaded, such as the Maw on Unicron not being painted orange. A lot of people had problems with that, but I think praise is given where it's due. So kudos to Hasbro and Joe for bringing something to the fans that they really wanted. And I think that it's good to bring in positive reinforcement where where it's due. So that is why I feel like this campaign is going to shape out pretty much how people want. The fans who like this character, who like this figure, they're going to be happy, and those that don't have interest in it, they're going to be happy too because they don't have to pay for it. So that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you guys for your time. See you next time.